I'm just getting more primary codices, aren't I? Right, Starship's heat management. Dispersal of heat generated by onboard systems is a critical issue for a ship. If it cannot deal with heat, the crew may be cooked within the hull. Ugh. Radiation is the only way to shed heat in a vacuum. Yeah, well, you can't conduct it away because there's nothing to conduct it, and there's no gas or liquid to provide convection, so you have to radiate. Yes. Radiation is the only way to shed heat in a vacuum. I've just said that. Civilian vessels utilize large, fragile radiator panels that are impossible to armor. Warships use diffuse radiator arrays, DRA. Ceramic strips along the exterior of the armored hull. These make the ship appear striped to thermographic sensors. Since the arrangement of the strips depends on the internal configuration of the ship, the patterns for each vessel are unique and striking. On older ships, the DRA strips would become red or white hot. Dubbed tiger stripes or war paint by humans, the glowing DRA had a psychological impact on pirates and irregular forces. Strip radiators are not as efficient as panels, but if damaged by enemy fire, the ship only loses a small portion of its total radiation capacity. Because you're only losing the one strip rather than the whole panel. Yeah, makes sense. In most cases, a vessel's DRA alone allows it to cruise with no difficulties. Operations deep within a solar system can cause problems. A ship engaged... That doesn't make any sense. These sentences do not follow. In most cases, a vessel's DRA alone allows it to cruise with no difficulties. Operations deep within a solar system can cause problems. Do you mean like at the centre by the star? Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Because then you're radiating out heat while also the sun's radiating out heat, and then you pick up the heat, and that doesn't work well. A ship engaged in combat can produce titanic amounts of heat from manoeuvring burns and weapons fire. When fighting in a high heat environment, warships employ high efficiency droplet heat sinks. In a droplet system, tanks of liquid sodium or lithium absorb heat within the ship. Oh dear, that sounds very hot, actually. The liquid is vented from spray nozzles near the bow as a thin sheet of millions of micrometer scale droplets. The droplets are caught at the stern and recycled into the system. A droplet system can sink 10 to 100 times as much heat as DRA strips. So, okay, so you got the bow at the front, so it sprays them out, get caught at the back, and they're going to go back into the system. Droplet sheets resemble a surface ship's wake through the water. The wake peels out in sharp turns, spreading a fan of droplets as the ship changes vectors and leaves the coolant behind. Interesting. And that's the way out, but we're currently not anywhere. Joker, my man.
I prefer gold to silver, you know, for my medal. I figured you'd recommend me for one since I pulled your boots out of the fire.
You sure you want that?
If we present you with a medal, you'll end up sitting on stage listening to politicians make speeches for a couple of hours. Fun.
That's a good point. They'd probably make me shave, too. I spent the last 7 weeks working on this baby. No medal's worth that. So, Commander, why don't you tell me why you're really here?
We've asked that. Investigate. I just want to talk.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me, didn't you? Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the captain.
I know I've heard
You
this.
want me as your pilot. I'm not good. I'm not even great. I am the best damn
We've heard this one
helmsman
before,
in the
haven't we?
Alliance fleet. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in my file, I earned every single one. Those weren't given to me as charity for my disease.
Well, I've asked him what disease already, so I'm going to go. I didn't mean to insult you.
I'm sorry, Joker. I didn't even know you were sick.
You mean you didn't know? Oh, crap.
I did. I told you this
Okay,
before.
I've got Vrolik syndrome, brittle bone disease. The bones in my legs never develop properly. They're basically hollow, too much force and they'll shatter. Even with crutches and my leg braces, it's hard to get around. One wrong step and crack! It's very dramatic. But I've learned to manage my condition, Commander. Put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you. Just don't ask me to get up and dance unless, you know, you like the sound of snapping shin bones.
Okay.
I have to go.
All right,
I
see
must
ya.
go now. Ooh, thingy. Codex. Oh, another primary one. Another thing to add to the ever-growing pile of things that I'm going to be looking at. Ooh, look outside. FTL drive. Appearance. New space travelers ask, what does it look like outside a ship, moving at faster than light speed? Part of the answer can be seen in a simple pane of glass. Light travels slower through glass than it does through open air. Light also moves slower in conventional space than it does in a high-speed mass effect field. This causes refraction. Any light entering at an angle is bent and separated into a spectrum. Objects outside the ship will appear refracted. The greater the difference between the objective, exterior, and subjective, interior speeds of light, the greater the refraction. As the subjective speed of light is raised within the field, objects outside will appear to redshift, eventually becoming visible only to radio telescope antennae. High-energy electromagnetic sources normally hidden to the eye become visible in the high blue spectrum. As the speed of light continues to be raised, X-ray, gamma ray, and eventually cosmic ray sources become visible. Stars will be replaced by pulsars, the accretion disks of black holes, quasars, and gamma ray bursts. To an outside observer, a ship within a Mass Effect drive envelope appears blue-shifted. If within a field that allows travel at twice the speed of light, any radiation it emits has twice the energy as normal. If the ship is in a field of about 200 times light speed, it radiates visible light as X-rays and gamma rays, and the infrared heat from the hull is blue-shifted up into the visible spectrum or higher. Ships moving at FTL are visible at great distances, though their signature will only propagate at the speed of light. That sounded really fun and scientific and technical, and I understood some of those words. Actually, I did. What did I do? I did a thing that I can't remember. I did physics up to AS level. Which for everyone outside Britain makes no sense. What is AS? What is this AS you speak of? Okay, then. Hello. I shall stare at you. Loading. Loading a conversation. This is going to be big.
Anything you need, Commander?
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
Is this an official evaluation, Commander? Or off the record?
Speak your mind.
Alenko, when it's just you and me, you can consider it off the record.
That's a generous attitude. Okay. I think there's something wrong with all this. This Saren is looking for records on some kind of galactic extinction, but we can't get backup from the Council?
Nope.
Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading it.
Yeah, something's going on. I hear you.
The Council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming.
You'd think so.
Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in BOT.
What did they train you for? What is BOT?
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled.
Encouraged, inverted commas.
There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in the womb. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
You doubt it was accidental then?
Is there some question about how you were exposed?
My mother was downwind of a transport crash. It was before there were human biotics, a little after the discovery of the Martian ruins. It only gets iffy around 63 when Kinetics was running out of first-gen subjects. Until then, they'd relied on accidentals. Bunch of guys in suits show up at your door after school, and next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero.
Jump Zero?
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on to using massive...
I don't know what you mean.
It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
Accidental. So you're implying there were intentional exposures?
You know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything Kinetics did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
Did you have any friends before you were taken off? Or after? I don't know which way I'm going to ask.
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone out there.
Afterwards. There we go.
That's true. We did have a little circle that'd get together every night before lights out. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and Kinetics kept Jump Zero off the extranet to prevent leaks.
A time to talk then.
Then you must have had plenty of time to get to know each other.
Yeah, we'd sit around and bull every night after dinner, play cards or network games. There was this girl named Rana who had a little circle grow up around her. She was from
Alright.
Turkey. Her family was very rich, but she was smart and charming as hell. Beautiful, but not stuck up about it. I think you'd have liked her.
And, did you love her?
Sounds like she was special to you.
She was. Maybe she felt the same, but things never felt together. Training, you know.
We've asked everything, so... Yes, we've asked everything. That sounds rough. Go on.
Jump Zero is a long way from home. What was it like?
Yes, this?
The grand gateway to humanity looks a lot better in the vids.
PR,
But that's
publicity.
my own baggage, Commander. No bearing on this.
You can talk to me. You know that.
Alenko, there's no regulation that says you can't be friends with your commander.
I appreciate that, Commander. I just don't want you to think that I'm a whiner. Besides, I've got my past squared away.